Alright, so I'm finally doing my third Stormhawks Q&A. Yeah, so as always, I want to thank everyone who sent in questions. And as always, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means it was either marked as spam or it didn't show up at all, so I do apologize for that. Also, in case the mic sounds a little funny, that's because I got the fan on, because this Q&A is probably going to run a while, and it's going to be hot as balls. So, let's get started with Alexander Anayez, who asks, first question is, what is your favorite species in the Stormhawks universe outside of humans? Raptors. I dig raptors. If you bring in, like, a female, if there's a chance you bring in a humanoid reptile-like creature, and you have as a whole race, then yeah, I'm probably gonna gravitate towards that that species on a whole. I'm probably, definitely gonna gravitate towards the raptors, definitely. Second question: if we ever got a Stormhawks comic series, what would you want it to be like? I get this question all the time when I do these Q&As. This and what I'd want for a third season. What would I want as a comic book series? Probably, as a comic book series, probably like a continuation at least. That's all I want. So third question. Stormhawks meet the crew of the Ebon Hawk from the first Knights of the Old Republic game. How would they react to each other? Yeah, it'd be awesome. It would just be total epicness. So thank you for those questions, Alexander. Moving on now to Billy McCary, who asks, what would you do a hero-villain mashup of Stormhawks and Lord Dominator or something else? I don't know, we'll see. Second question, would Stormhawks get a new member after Junko's death, and what would you name that new member? I don't know, I've kind of always had, if there were replacements, it'd be Repton or Starling, so one of them. Stormhawks encounter the Chitauri. What happens next? Probably nothing good. Alright, second question. Wait, those were your three questions. Thank you for those questions, Billy. Moving on down to Nicholas Harley, who asks, what is Stormhawks all about? Stormhawks is about a group of young people, of young heroes called Sky Knights, living in this world called Atmos. Think Star Wars, but like a steampunk version of Star Wars, with crystals. Yeah. Second question, where's your Piccolo and Starling ship video you said back in your DBZ Q&A? I don't know, I'll get around to it. There's also another question, but it's not really pertaining to this particular thing right here, to this Q&A, so I'm probably not going to answer it. Sorry, Nicholas. But yeah, the questions need to pertain to the here and now. And to this Q&A, I mean. So anyway, thank you for those questions, Nicholas. Moving on now to Nicholas Harley, who... that was... that was you. So thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees, 2011, who asks... Sorry to get some water. If the Beast Wars reached Atmos instead of prehistoric Earth, which Maximals and Predacons would you see with with the Stormhawks and Cyclonus, with each Beast mode, and do you think they'll have? Like Scorponok is a Fire Scorpion, and Depth Charge is a Sky Shark. Yeah, those would work. I would say maybe Optimus Primal as a Gorge Sloth, maybe. Megatron, Dragon Form, Terrorsaur, probably a Gravok. For Terrorsaur. I'm trying to think. What would be a good one for Dinobot or Rat Trap? Maybe a Sky Monkey for Rat Trap. I don't know. So there you go. Those are, to name a few. Alright. Did you know that Master Cyclonus' voice actress was Lenore Zane, the same voice actress who played Rogue back in the 90s, in the 90s X-Men show? Yes, I did! I didn't know that till the show was over, and I accidentally caught her in an interview with her talking about all of her shows. And yeah, apparently she's also a senator. She's also now a leader of the Democratic Party in Nova Scotia. Who knew? Third question, which Marvel villains could you see being rewritten as enemies for the Stormhawks? The Brood. Yeah, the Brood. The Chitauri, the Skrulls, Kree. A lot of cosmic villains. Yeah, a lot of cosmic villains. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Mike Root, who asks, If Master Cyclonus got added to Mortal Kombat, what would you have her be? Your story, moveset, and finishers be? All right, her story mode would be is that that Cyclonus has gone to Outworld in order to seek a crystal that she saw in a vision, but however, the crystal belongs to Shinnok, so she has to go and kill everything to get that crystal. Her moveset would probably be a lot of energy-based attacks, like a lot of like spam moves. Probably that would be her finishing move, her moveset. A lot of summoning. Finishers. Maybe have one where she puts a crystal in your mouth, and then your head it just suddenly activates and your head explodes. Another one would be she uses her crystals, freezes your legs, and then makes them shatter. As you're crawling away, she puts her staff through your head. Something like that. Think of those questions. Mike Root, moving on now to Carlotta Studios, who asks, if you lived on Atmos, which Terra would you want to live on? What weapon would you want to have? And what crystal would you hope to use to power that weapon? I always liked a decent sword, a good old sword, and have a firestone to it, because flaming sword for the win. As for Terra, Terra Rex is a total no. Maybe Atmosia. Maybe play safe and go Atmosia, or maybe Terra Neon. I don't know. Alright. Second question. Finn manages to find Piper's diary while Piper herself is out looking for crystals, so she's not around to stop him. What does Finn do with her diary, and what intimate knowledge does he find within it? He finds out about her crush on Arrow, which would be like he would just literally look at that and go, "Oh, what a shock!" Flip through the pages. Maybe see all of, the dirty fan fiction she's written between her and Arrow, and want to put the book down. Probably that would be him drawing the line, but then he'd be like, I don't want to read this. And then, when he steps out of the room, he just comes right back and is like, I want to read it. Alright, this third question. The Stormhawks all go to a party and get drunk for the first time. And when I say get drunk, I mean they get drunk enough to do stuff they might regret. What do they do in their drunkenness, and how do they deal with the consequences and the hangovers the following morning? I would say that Arrow and Piper would probably have drunk sex and wake up and oh God, we didn't. Oh, we did. Oh, Jesus. Finn would probably wake up with Susie Lou, or someone. I'd hate to say that he might wake up with even a guy and be like, oh God. But no, he would literally drunk Finn, I imagine, turning into Johnny Knoxville from Jackass. He would literally do the most dumbest shit you'd ever imagine, and he would be so shit-faced he wouldn't even, feel the pain of it. He would wake up, I just imagine Finn waking up naked in a, I don't know, some kind of, zoo. And he's just like, oh man, why is there a leech on my dick? Stork, I kind of imagine him loosening up and being all go with the flow. Junko would probably be I just kind of imagine a drunk wallop is nothing good. So it wouldn't be fun. It wouldn't be fun for anyone if Junko turned into an angry drunk, because no one wants that. Anyway, so there you go, Carlotta. There you go. So moving on now. So thank you for those questions, Carlotta. Thank you for those questions again, Carlotta. Moving on now to Ian Green, who asks, what would happen if Cyclonus went up against the following one at a time? Medusa, Gorgon, Naraku, Chrysalis, Kerrigan, the Ditak, King Ghidorah, Cinderfall, Transformers Prime, Megatron, and Blackheart. Well, Medusa, Naraku would kill her. Chrysalis, I think she could take. Kerrigan, maybe. I don't know what the Ditak are. King Ghidorah, no. Cinderfall, I haven't watched Ruby, can't tell you. Megatron and Blackheart, no. There you go. Second question. What would the Stormhawks think of the crystal gems in Steven? I think Finn and Amethyst would have oodles of fun, while Pearl and Piper would instantly be at BFFs. So there you go. Second question. What would the Stormhawks... the third question. Which Leviathan would win? The one from Stormhawks or the one from Atlantis, the Lost Empire? Well, the one from Atlantis is as big as a Terra, so on size alone, I'd say that one. Thank you for those questions, Ian. Moving on now to Andrew Varney, who asks, Piper meets Pearl. What do they think of each other? I just talked about this. I'm going to answer this because Andrew is asking specifically for what Piper and Pearl would think of each other. I think they would both kind of like connect over being, talking over battle tactics and ideas, and as well as being quintessentially the respective den mothers of their two groups. Definitely. Yeah, they'd just be like, yeah, we're kind of the moms of the groups, aren't we? We're the Anyway, so second question. Stormhawks meet the main six. What trouble do Finn, Junko, and Pinkie Pie get into? Oodles of shenanigans. If you... I'd like to see, like, Finn would, like, try to shoot himself out of the party cannon. Oh, that would be great. And no one would be safe from their pranks. Alright. While at a gadget convention, Stork runs into the following. Peridot, Phineas and Ferb, Bulma, Krillin, Zim, and Strax. What does he think? How does he react to each of them? I think Stork would have a panic attack because you never catch him anywhere outside the Condor. That man is the definition... That Merb is the definition of antisocial. So there's no way in hell that he's going to be caught dead out there. Anyway... So thank you for those questions, Andrew Varney. Moving on now to Grimlock 1992, who asks, what if Heisei Godzilla appeared in Stormhawks on a scale of 1 to 10? How much are they screwed? 25. Second question, if you could add in a whole new race in the series, what would they be called and what would they look like? I'd like to introduce like a race of Minotaur like people called what would I call them? I call the Terra they come from called Terra Minos, and maybe call them the Minotaurans. Yeah, these big bull-like creatures who are, they act like Greeks, the ancient Greek society, something like that, like a group of bull people. Third question, have you thought about doing a Stormhawks Dragon Booster crossover? I would if I ever watched Dragon Booster. I've never actually watched. It's not that I was never interested, it's just that I never saw it, so... Yeah. So thank you for those questions. Grimlock, moving on now to One of None, who asks, Sans, Asgore, and Undyne versus Cyclonus, who wins? I'm going to have to give it to the three of them because they're fighting, because Cyclonus is outgunned in this matchup. Cyclonus finds Hawkmoth, the Hawkmoth pendant, and Finn and Piper, Shat Rings and Ladybug earrings. Epic crossover or no? Maybe. It's date night. Who goes with who? Arrow and Piper, Repton and Starling, Finn and Suzy Lou, Cyclonus and Perry. Boom. Anyway, moving on now to George Puldillo. Hope I say that last name right. Stormhawks are watching Rooster Teeth animation. What would they like to watch? Well, I guess Arrow would watch Ruby, and, it's no fucking doubt that Finn would definitely be watching Red vs. Blue. Him and Junko would be watching Red vs. Blue. Anyway. I don't know what Piper would watch. Maybe Ruby. I don't know. Thank you for those questions, George. Moving on now to Marnet Reyes, who asks, is there a type of crossover you would particularly be excited about with the Hawks in another fandom? Star Trek, X-Men, I'd be really excited for if they did Star Trek or X-Men. Or even Guardians of the Galaxy, so yeah. Alright. Second question. If they were to revive the show on Netflix, like they were talking about doing with Young Justice, what kind of storylines would you like to see them tackle? I'd like to see them go a little darker. I'd like to see them, finally explore Finn and Piper's relationship. I'd even like to see them introduce new villains. Other factions of Villainous. So, something like that. Third question. If there was ever a new season or any type of new character you'd like to see created, or would you just be fine expanding the ones we've got? A little bit of column A and column B. Like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing new characters, but I'd like to see expansions on the old characters as well, you know what I mean? So think of those questions, Marinette, hope I'm saying that name right. And moving on now to Ira Sutton, who asks, I had an idea for a Stormhawk Star Wars crossover, and in it, Cyclonus is the apprentice of Darth Vader. What are your thoughts on Cyclonus as an apprentice to Darth Vader? Cyclonus is never the one to be the apprentice. She is always the master. She's, like I've said before, she's pretty much teenage Palpatine. So, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I just can't see Cyclonus as the apprentice in any sort of case. Second question. You said you prefer Piper and Finn to Arrow and Piper. What do you think of the pairing? I like it, and I've read some fanfiction where Finn and Piper, where it works. But yeah, I'm too much for Arrow and Piper. But no, I'm not. I've seen it, and then I can roll with that ship if done right. Think of those questions, Ira. Moving on now to that guy with the tripod who asks, what would the Stormhawks think of the 7 Deadly Sins? I haven't watched 7 Deadly Sins, so I'm just going to... You said I can skip right to the second question. Alright, what if Deadpool arrived in Atmos? Then I'm pretty sure he'd be hitting on everyone. He'd be like looking at Susie Liu and being like, my inner furry is going off the wall right now. Oh my god. Oh lord. Third question, what would happen if Cthulhu or any of the great old ones arrived or awakened in Atmos? There would be no more Atmos. That's it. No more Atmos. That's it. No more. Done skis. Done. No more. Zip. Gone. Let's think of those questions, that guy. Moving on now to the Omnitron12345, who asks, what superhero identities could you see the Stormhawks take up? I don't know, maybe if they had superpowers, the X-Men, or maybe... Maybe the Young Avengers, probably. Anyway, second question. Doctor Doom versus Master Cyclonus in a battle of tactics. Who wins? That's a really close one, because Doctor Doom, he's a master of science and magic and one of the greatest villains in the Marvel Universe. But Cyclonus is also, she's pretty goddamn good at her job, too, so this is a real tough one for me, honestly. This is a real difficult one for me, so I don't know, really. I honestly don't know. And I've thought about that question multiple times. Alright. Third question. The Normandy crew lands on Atmos. What goes down? Tally kind of makes fun of the Condor. Grunt and Junko have an arm wrestling match. Finn tries to hit on everyone on the crew and gets horribly beaten for every time. The basic stuff. So thank you for those questions, Omnitron. Moving on to Max Gentleman 1, who asks, Starling has tea with Tracer from Overwatch. What would they talk about? Well, I haven't played Overwatch, but I do understand that Tracer's British, so maybe they're drinking tea and being like, look how British we are! I do a better British accent, but I just don't give a fuck right now. Susie Liu and Finn go out on a first date. What would they do and what happens? I would say their first, Susie Liu's idea of a first date is, driving out in the backcountry of snow while Finn's hanging on to her to be like, why am I in the bitch seat? Shut up. Oh man, he would definitely be riding the bitch seat. Anyway. So, I would say, yeah, that'd probably be how it'd go. It's something a little more adventurous, like, something of them going out to have a lot of oodles and oodles of fun. Alright. Would you want to see a crossover comic in which the characters in Stormhawk's universe receive their own lantern rings in order to fight a greater enemy than the Cyclonians, such as the Anti-Monitor or the Black Hand? Yeah, I could probably tell you which rings would go to who. Arrow, green ring. Piper, blue ring. Repton, red ring. Cyclonus, orange ring. Yellow ring would go to Dark Ace. Why did I space out on Dark Ace? Star Sapphire ring would probably go to Dove. Maybe Dove. And yeah. Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Max Gentleman 1. Moving on to the next set of questions. So our next set of questions come from Andrew Schaefer, who asks, I'm sure you remember your theory about Arrow and Cyclonus being twin siblings that were separated young. Yeah, that's kind of my headcanon. How would it happen if Dark Ace, Ravis, and Snipe reacted to that if it was true? Well, I think, I don't know about Dark Ace, but I feel like Ravis and Snipe would be, we don't have to follow you because your dad was a Stormhawk, and you have no real claim to the throne. I'd probably go without something like that. Dark Ace, I'm not so sure. Second question. Why don't Repton and Starling just get over it and do the deed already? There needs to be some serious beer, and there needs to be a lot of alcohol, and a lot of self-pity. That's probably what it would be. Alright, how many times has Ravis shot down Finn out of the sky? You lost count. I lost count too. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Andrew Schaefer. Moving on now to Joaquim Morgan, I hope I'm saying that name right, who asks, if you were in charge of a Stormhawks reboot, what would you change? Well, I'd kind of implement the whole, twin sibling thing between Arrow and Cyclonus. I think that would be pretty cool to explore and actually make canon. Repton and Starling would be a thing. I don't know, if it's a big old reboot, I think I would just continue on as a reboot of Season 2 and make different stories from there. Maybe something like that, really. So there you go. Thank you for those questions. Moving on now to 123 Liang, hope I'm saying that name right, and 321 Liang 321. 123 321, whatever. Alright. Anyway, so your first question is, thank you for checking out my channel because apparently you're friends with Carlotta, and you two you've been watching this tag game we've been playing. So how nice. First question: you said that there were moments in Season 2 that heavily hinted at Piper having a lot of attraction to Arrow. Well, which ones of those were specifically? I have to say the episode with where Carver comes back, Second Chances, it's very clear that she was upset over Arrow's death. Is it Deep Water or Dark Water that the episode's called? The one with Domowick coming back. That one, there's a few other, towards the end it was very clear. Anyway, so some of those. Maybe it's been a while since I've watched all these episodes, so maybe it's not as heavy as I thought it was, but it still was there. Anyway. Second question. Do you think the Stormhawks universe could be made into a successful MMO? Yeah, I feel like it's a big enough universe, almost like a steampunk Star Wars mixed with World of Warcraft level stuff. You could do some serious, Knights of the Old Republic shit with this universe. It's that expansive, I feel like, so... I'm surprised there never was an MMO. Then again, sadly, the show was never that popular to, solicit a MMO or anything. There was supposed to be an MMO game, but I guess that got canceled, obviously. So, yeah. Third question. What are your thoughts on OCs and self-inserts in Stormhawks? And fanfiction about continuation of the show or something like that. I have no... This is one of the times where I don't mind too many OCs. I've seen tons of really good OCs in Stormhawks especially. It's not like where... Like, take, for instance, Code Lyoko, where someone puts a like a OC in there, and they have these mysterious ties to Xana. Oh, no! That's like 90% of Code Lyoko fanfiction these days. But I do feel like Stormhawks has a lot of good OC characters that don't feel overpowered, and they feel like regular characters. I feel like they have a lot... There's a lot of good OC characters. God knows I've made several of them. Yeah, this is one of the times where I'm like, you know what, I'm cool. I'm not trying to say I'm an aficionado on OCs, it's just that sometimes OCs can ruin a story if you don't handle them right. So far, in a majority of Stormhawks fanfictions I've read, yeah, it's been handled right, so go ahead, go have fun. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Lil Yang, and I apologize if I butchered your name, but it's nice to hear from you. Anywho, let's move on to Ugly Media 2, who asks, Cyclonus and Frieza having brunch together, what happens? I feel like Cyclonus would be taking notes from Frieza, just going like, okay, I do this, then I bash his skull in? Okay, just wanted to make sure. Suzy Lu becomes teacher at the Ghoul School. What happens? I feel like Winnie would be trying, because Suzy looks so much like a rabbit. Winnie would be like, I must chase you. Third question: if you had to switch the Stormhawks with other characters across cartoon, movie, etc., multiverse, who would you choose to otherwise be a non-comic Stormhawks? Well, the thing is that about non-comic is that it's comic book characters. These are, straight from a show of animation, so really, it's not really a non-comic book team, it's more like a non-cartoon team. I guess if I was to make in that case, I would just go with the Mark Waid's New Champions comic coming out next month. That would probably be the case. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Ugly Media. Moving on now to the Spawn117, who asks, Stormhawks The Thing John Carpenter crossover, how would you write it? Maybe have it that Blazzaris, the original Blazzaris, before it got taken over, Talons find it and find the Thing frozen, the Thing kills them, and then, leaves their ship kind of derelict. But the distress beacon is picked up by the Stormhawks, and hilarity ensues. Alright, Atmos is suddenly invaded by the forces of Chaos, aka Chaos Space Marines and Chaos Demons. How fucked is Atmos? I don't know, because I still haven't... I don't play a lot of Warhammer. Anyway, what do you think of a Stormhawks Riddick crossover? Yeah, if you do it right, I think it'd be cool. I mean, just have Riddick crash on their planet. That's really all you need. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Spawn117. Moving on now to Burnouter7, who asks, how do you think things go for the Stormhawks if Master Cyclonus sent Boba Fett after them? Probably not good. Probably not good in the slightest. Third question, what would happen if Cyclonia tried to invade Earth? Well, the thing is that, even though they look advanced, it's clear that they haven't mastered space travel. So, how about the Atmosians get past the stratosphere and and then we'll talk. All right. Would you want a Stormhawks game, and how would you want to develop it? Well, I guess either MMO... Yeah, definitely an MMO kind of game. And I'm not the biggest MMO guy, but I feel like you can do an MMO with that kind of universe and make it work. Alright. So oh, wait, that was someone else's question. Whoops. Hang on. Burnouter7's real third question was, who would win in this fight, Master Cyclonus or Lena Inverse? I might give it to well, Lena's pretty powerful, but I might give it to Cyclonus because she keeps herself more focused, whereas Lena is very aloof and just depends way too much on her powers. So, probably give it to Cyclonus, but Lena might take it. Alright, moving on to the Kane Matters show, who asks, how will Master Cyclonus interact with these villains? Frieza, Lex Luthor, Akuni from One Piece, Sephiroth, Eyes Death, Light Yagami. Well, I haven't watched a lot of Akima Gai Kill or One Piece, so I don't know what to tell you. Frieza, Lex Luthor, I think she'd be interested in working with. Sephiroth, possibly as well. Light, I think she'd just take the Death Note for herself. Frieza, idolize, and Lex Luthor, yeah, like I said, team up. Second question, what do you want a Stormhawks to come back for a third season? Yep, that's all I need to say on that. Would you want Stormhawks game? Yeah, I already answered this by accident, but yeah, I think it would be cool as an MMO, and I'm not even the biggest MMO guy, so yeah. Alright. Moving on now to Jackie Lee, who asks, is the Stormhawks now continued in the comics? There are no comics, so no. Second question, what characters from different movies, TVs, all the other stuff, would you pair with Princess Peregrine, aka Perry? I don't know. I prefer her too much with Cyclonus. Alright, what happens if the Stormhawks met... I haven't watched Dragon Booster, so I can't answer that. But thank you for those questions, Jackie Lee. Moving on now to Alistair Boneman, who asks, if you could make any plans during any more... do you have any plans of making any more Stormhawks fanfiction? And if so, can we get a link to it? I don't know. The universe is kind of big as it is, and I don't want to be overworked with it, so who knows? Second question, you have mentioned multiple times that you pair Starling and Repton and having kids, which no doubt would have been interesting in the event of them making kids, if you know what I mean. Could you describe their children? What do they look like in their personalities? I kind of made different versions of their kids depending on the headcanon I kind of go with. First was Xander, their only son, who was kind of like a young Vegeta, very arrogant, but he had a moral sense of duty to him. Then came Romulus and Remus, who are their twin sons, who one became the ruler, while the other became head of their military in the future. So, anyway, third question. Since Stormhawks takes place in a steampunk-esque world, and would they make with other... Again, it's a Ruby question. I haven't played Ruby, and I haven't really read the Steam Wars comic. But Legend of Korra would be cool if it was I've seen, actually, there isn't a Legend of Korra Stormhawks crossover on fanfiction. Maybe I'll review it sometime. But anyway, thank you for those questions, Alistair Boneman. Moving on now to Wolfman the Impaler, who asks... Wolfman the Impaler asks... Finn meets Finn from Force Awakens, Finn the Human. Does it count as Crisis on multiple Finns? Yes, it does. Second question. Out of the following couples, would Arrow and Piper do a double date with? Star and Marco, Ladybug and Cat Noir, Kim and Ron, or Captain America and Agent 13? I'd have to say Kim and Ron. Maybe they'd probably get along with them the best. Third question. Wolverine and Repton fight over Starling's affection. How does she react? She would just look at them and go, you two are fucking idiots. That would literally be her whole thing. She would just look at him and go, you fucking idiots. Anyway. So thank you for those questions. Moving on now to Dylan Malone, 8-14, who asks, have you read any good Stormhawks fanfiction? I would have to say, and I've been meaning to do a review of this, is a fanfiction called Strength and Weakness, which is a Piper Cyclonus fanfiction. Yeah, I know, Carlotta, I know you're watching this and you hate that, but it's actually very well written, and it's been going on for 3 years, which in fanfiction time, that's eternity. So yeah, I'm just surprised it's been continuing to grow for the years and years it's been out. So yeah, normally these things get shut down after if it's over 2 years, but no, it's still going. Anyway, so thank you for those. Oh wait, you've got 2 more. Second question: what games do you want to see the Stormhawks characters guest star in? I guess Mortal Kombat would be cool if that ever happened. What Marvel DC villains would you like to see the Stormhawks face off with? I guess I talked about Marvel villains, so I guess for DC villains, the Sinestro Corps, or maybe the Daxamites. Maybe one of those guys. Alright. Moving on, thank you for those questions. Dylan Malone 14 asks, moving on now to Brian Cam, who asks, Palpatine meets Master Cyclonus. What would he think? Would he think she's his illegitimate daughter and try to adopt her as his apprentice, or would she have the Force? I think he may try to take her under his wing. I don't know about adopting her, but definitely trying to teach her his ways. But I think Cyclonus would be like, no, I'm my own boss, thank you. Zerg and Master Cyclonus meet and talk about their respective grandmothers. Nana Zerg and the last Master Cyclonus. How does that go down? Serious grandma issues. And I'm guessing he's talking about the Emperor Zerg from Buzz Lightyear. Third question. Kylo Ren, Hux, Phasma, and of course FN-1299, or TR-8R, crash on Atmos with a small platoon of stormtroopers. What kind of story comes up? I feel like the Cyclonians would instantly try to get them on their side. Something like that. And her turning, and Cyclonus turning Kylo Ren on everybody just seems like a really cool idea. So thank you for those questions, Brian. Moving on down to Matt Kaiser 08, who asks, would the Stormhawks stand a chance against the alien Zerium? I don't know who the Zerium are, so sadly I can't answer that. If the Stormhawks had their own personal Zords, what would they be? Maybe a Phoenix Zord for Arrow, a Sky Shark one for Piper. I don't know about everyone else. Honestly, I really don't. 3. Which Toho Kaiju for each Stormhawks would they be teamed up with? I guess Godzilla for Arrow, Mothra with Piper, Finn would be with King Caesar, Junko and Anguirus, and Stork and maybe Hedera? Just for shits and giggles, possibly. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Matt Kaiser 08. Moving on now to Andre Partridge, who asks, what will happen if the Stormhawks met up with a Samurai Jack and the Scotsman? Nothing. I feel like the Scotsman would constantly insult all of them. Second question. What would Master Cyclonus think of Princess Azula if they ever met up? Well, I remember reading a fanfiction where they did team up, but at the end of it was kind of weird because Cyclonus absorbed Azula and took her powers. It's kind of awesome, but really weird. She went total Cell on Azula. Kind of. There was a crystal involved. Third question. What will happen if the Stormhawks accidentally crashed into the Guardians of the Galaxy? Kind of talked about this multiple times, but I feel like there would be a lot of fun between them, especially Piper trying to understand Groot. We'd be like, okay, what's your name? I am Groot. I am Groot. Oh, awesome. Can you tell me more about yourself? I am Groot. I got that. Where do you come from? I am Groot. You know, stuff like that. So there you go. Thank you for those questions, Andre Partridge. Moving on now to Common X, who asks, the Stormhawks and allies meet the Master Cyclonus and her group meet Chase Young. What would they think of each other? Well, I'm pretty sure Cyclonus and Chase would definitely want to hang out more and, you know, evil alliances and all that. Everyone else would probably be screwed. Alright. Moving on, thank you for those questions, Common X. Moving on now to Travis Rendon, who asks, if you were a raptor, what would you look like, scales and spikes? Probably a traditional raptor, probably a little bit bigger, a little more muscular, though. Maybe like a little velociraptor foot claw, possibly. Second question, if you were part of the Stormhawks as a young raptor, would you hit on Starling? I don't know, like mid-20-year-old British woman. Yeah, probably would. Alright, if Stormhawks were revived as a show, but get the Teen Titans or PPG, Powerpuff Girls reboot treatment, on a scale of 1 to from mad to motherfucking pissed would you be? Beyond nuclear mad? Is that a 1? I'll take that one. Anyway, so thank you for those questions, Travis. Moving on now to Fox Mulder, who asks, Finn gains the powers of everyone's best friend, Deadpool. What's the first thing he does with his new powers? I feel like he would just dive bomb into a Cyclonian battleship and heal from that. I don't know. What color lightsabers would the Stormhawk, Starling, Suzy Liu, and Dark Ace have? Well, Dark Ace would have a red saber. That's a no-shit moment. Suzy Liu would probably have a blue saber. Starling would maybe have a purple saber, because purple sabers represent your connection to the light and dark, and I feel like Starling kind of walks that kind of line. Arrow would also have a blue saber, because blue indicates your protection of others. Piper would have a green saber, because that's supposed to indicate a connection to the Force. Finn, blue saber. Junko Blue Saber, Finn maybe Green Saber. And maybe because he has like a special connection with Condor or something. So there you go. Randy Cunningham, Howard Boone, Sashi, Marco, Star, Dipper, and Wendy form their own squadron. What would they call themselves? Yeah, Randy Cunningham, Howard, Penn, Boone, Sashi, Marco, Star, Dipper, and Wendy making their own Sky Knight squadron. I would say they would probably make a squadron and call it fuck off. They would probably call it like something offensive just to piss everybody off. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Fox Mulder. Moving on now to Shockwave Spider, who asks, can you please tell me what Stormhawk is about? I already answered that question. Who is your favorite character in the series? It's a few, from Starling, Repton, majority of the Stormhawks, and Master Cyclonus herself. Have you somehow if you had somehow switched bodies or got turned into a non-human species, what would it be? Definitely Raptor. Definitely Raptor. So thank you for those questions, Shockwave Spider. Moving on now to Jake Gross, who asks, would you have liked to seen some sort of race of bug people in Stormhawks? Yeah, I think that would have been cool, like a race of like underground, almost like humanoid termite people. Something like that would be cool. Do you think Master Cyclonus has romantic feelings for Piper? I'm 90% sure she did. Like, she at least had like some kind of obsessive feel for her at some point. Anyway, do you think Spitz could have become a good guy? Oh yes, for those who are wondering, Spitz is one of Repton's younger brothers out of the other three he has. And probably, I don't know, he seems a little too vicious, but then again, you never know. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jake Gross. Moving on now to Awesome Rebel, 55, who asks, Stormhawks and Kung Fu Panda crossover, what happens? I feel like Junko and Poe would have an eating contest. That would definitely happen. I don't know about anything else, but that would definitely happen. Alright, do you think Atmos would be, what would it be like if it was more steampunk, and what would the characters look like? I'm really not good with character designs, but I would definitely say like, I think Arrow would look like a steampunk version of John Marsden from Red Dead Redemption, maybe. Third question. Oh, this is the third question. How would the Stormhawks, what if the Stormhawks breached into the Disney Marvel world and hang on, I totally butchered that question. How would it be like if the Stormhawks breached into the Disney Marvel world you've been making up, with Dipper Pines as the Hulk, Pen Zero as Iron Man, Randy Cunningham as the Spider Ninja? It's Scarlet Spider. Yeah, for those who are wondering what he means by that, is because I've been kind of coming up with these fanfiction ideas where different Disney characters are part of the all-new, all-different Marvel universe, and not really taking on the roles, but are kind of becoming characters similar to those said roles in the all-new, all-different Marvel universe. So, yeah. It would be fun to see. I mean, I kind of made Dipper's Hulk kind of an asshole, because he's supposed to be like the Joe Fixit Hulk in a way. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Awesome Rebel. Moving on now to Six-Pack Beerus, who asks, what is it that made you a fan of the Stormhawks? I caught an episode of Season 1, I was like, the first episode was the Repton episode with Starling, and I was like, I want to watch more of this show. Yay me! Second question, what would Master Cyclonus think of the following? Darkseid, Thanos, Darth Vader, Zim, Aku, him, and Bill Cipher. Apart from Zim, I think she would look at a giant fan club for her to worship. Definitely. What do you think Master Cyclonus does when she's bored? As my friend Jason Voorhees answered for me, probably watch Will and Grace. I can't get that image out of my head, so yeah, probably sit around, eat potato chips, and watch a marathon of Will and Grace. With a side of How I Met Your Mother. So there you go, guys. That looks like that is all the questions. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions. This was a lot of fun, and once again, if I did not answer someone's question, that usually means it was marked as spam or something else happened, and I'm sorry for if there was any minor audio problems. The fan was on, and I didn't want to turn it off because, it gets kind of hot in here, so once again, I apologize for that. But anyway, Hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.